Hi, this is a podcast about understanding counseling and how it works in everyday life. In this episode, we'll explore why feeling exhausted is not always about stress and why rest alone often doesn't solve it. Many people describe feeling tired even when nothing particularly dramatic is happening. Work is manageable, life looks fine from the outside. There may not be a crisis, yet energy feels low and motivation feels very thin. This kind of exhaustion often isn't physical. It doesn't resolve with sleep in the way people expect. You can rest, take time off, or slow down and still feel depleted shortly afterwards. That can be confusing and frustrating. Any of you experience this? One everyday example is the end of the working day. You finish your tasks, but instead of feeling relieved, you feel flat. There's no clear reason for it. You didn't do anything especially difficult, yet the idea of engaging with anyone else feels very heavy. Have you noticed that kind of tiredness? I have. Another example shows up socially. You might enjoy spending time with certain people, but still feel drained afterwards. Not because the interaction was negative, but because you were managing yourself throughout, holding things together, staying attentive, keeping things smooth. This kind of exhaustion often comes from sustained emotional effort rather than workload. It builds when people are consistently monitoring, anticipating, or adjusting themselves to meet demands that are not clearly defined. Earlier in the series, we talked about boundaries and emotional regulation. This is where those ideas quietly intersect. When boundaries are unclear, regulation has to work harder. When regulation works harder for long periods, exhaustion follows. Think about how much of your day involves subtle effort, responding appropriately, managing tone, staying focused, being available. None of this feels dramatic in the moment. Over time, it adds up. Another place this shows up is decision making. Even small decisions can feel tiring when they are constant. What to prioritize, how to respond, whether to say yes or no. When decisions pile up without clear limits, mental energy drains quickly. This also explains why some forms of rest don't feel restorative. Scrolling, watching something, or distracting yourself can provide temporary relief, but it doesn't reduce the underlying load. The system doesn't fully stand down. Exhaustion like this is often mislabeled as laziness, lack of motivation, or poor coping. In reality, it's usually a sign that too much has been held internally for far too long. People often notice that this tiredness improves in environments where expectations are clear, where roles are defined, where responsibility is shared. In contrast, it worsens in situations that are emotionally ambiguous or demanding in unspoken ways. This is why exhaustion often shows up alongside feeling irritable or withdrawn. The system is conserving energy. Pulling back becomes a form of self protection rather than avoidance. Understanding this kind of exhaustion differently changes how people respond to it. Instead of pushing harder or trying to optimize rest, they begin to notice where effort is being spent unnecessarily. This awareness doesn't remove tiredness overnight, but it often reduces the sense that something is wrong. Exhaustion becomes information rather than a failure. In the next episode, we'll stay close to daily life by exploring why some situations feel emotionally heavier than others, even when they look similar on the surface. That's the scope of this episode. Each episode focuses on one specific theme, and this was it. We'll leave it here for now and move on in the next episode.